Episode 3, Aftermath and Legacy of the Gardener's Grim Harvest, the Bruce McArthur Story. Welcome back to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Nicoll, Nicoll Investigations. This is Episode 3 of the Gardener's Grim Harvest, the Bruce McArthur Story. The final chapter in our three-part series, one of Canada's most notorious serial killers. This episode contains discussions of grief and loss that may be difficult for some listeners. Please take care as we wrap up this journey. In Toronto's gay village, a community was left reeling. Bruce McArthur, a trusted landscaper, had betrayed the very people who welcomed him, taken 8 lives, and shattered a sense of safety. His arrest and conviction brought justice, but the scars remained. Today we explore the aftermath, how a community rebuilt, how families found strength, and the lessons that endure. This is Aftermath and Legacy. In the first 2 episodes, we walk through the shadows of Bruce McArthur's crimes. From 2010 to 2017, he preyed on Toronto's gay village, targeting vulnerable men. Skandaraj Navaratnam, Abdulbasir Faizi, Majeed Kayhan, Soroush Mahmudi, Kirushna Kumar Kanagaratnam, Dean Lisowick, Selim Esen, and Andrew Kinsman. He lured them with promises of connection, only to end their lives and hide the remains in planters, turning his trade into a grim disguise. Episode 2 traced the investigation's rocky path from early missteps in Project Houston to the breakthrough of Project Prism, sparked by Andrew Kinsman's disappearance. In January 2018, police arrested McArthur, uncovering a chilling trove of evidence. A year later, he pleaded guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder, sentenced to life with no parole for 25 years. Justice was served, but for many, it came too late. Now we turn to what followed, the healing, the changes, and the legacy of a case that shook a city. Community fallout. When Bruce McArthur was arrested on January 18, 2018, the gay village exhaled. It was a breath heavy with grief. The news hit like a thunderclap. Bars like Woody's and the Black Eagle, once alive with laughter, grew quieter. One bar owner recalled those days. The stool stayed empty longer than usual. People were afraid to trust again. The village, a sanctuary for so many, had been violated by one of its own. The community's trust in police was in tatters. For years, residents warned of a serial killer, only to be met with dismissals. No evidence, police said, as men kept vanishing. Protests erupted outside Toronto Police Headquarters, signs demanding, "Protect our village," and "Listen to us." The anger was raw, born of years of being ignored. One resident put it bluntly, "We were screaming, and they didn't hear us." But from that pain came action. In 2019, the Toronto Police Services Board commissioned an independent review led by Justice Gloria Epstein. Her report was scathing, pointing to systematic biases against the LGBTQ+ community, against racialized groups, that delayed the investigation. Criticized the police for missing early clues, like McArthur's 2001 assault conviction, and for failing to connect the dots in Project Houston. The review wasn't just a critique, it was a roadmap for change. One of its biggest outcomes was the creation of a dedicated missing persons unit in 2020. This unit now centralizes reports, uses advanced data systems, and prioritizes cases involving marginalized groups. Officers are trained to engage with communities like the gay village, building trust where it was lost. It's a step forward, but for many it's a bittersweet victory. Too late for the 8 men McArthur killed. Yet the village began to heal. By 2019, community leaders organized events to reclaim their space. Picture this, a candlelit vigil on Church Street. Hundreds gathered under the stars holding photos of the victims. A local artist painted a mural near Allen Gardens, vibrant colors spelling out, We remember. One resident and regular at the community center shared the resolve. We won't let him define us. This is still our home. The village's spirit, bruised but unbroken, began to shine through. Up next, human impact. Human impact. Beyond the headlines, this case is about people. Families, friends, and the community left to pick up the pieces. The victims' loved ones carried an unimaginable burden. Abdulbasir Faizi's wife spoke of raising their 2 daughters alone, explaining their father's absence without shattering their hearts. They ask where Daddy is, she said in her victim impact statement. And I have no words. Her voice broke, but her strength carried through. Kirushna Kumar Kanagaratnam's brother in Sri Lanka learned of his death only after police identified his remains in a planter. Kirushna being a ghost, unreported missing due to his precarious immigration status. His brother's grief was raw. He came to Canada for a better life, not this. Imagine the weight of that loss, learning your loved one was gone with no chance to say goodbye. Andrew Kinsman's friends, like Nicole Borthwick, channeled their pain into action. They organized memorials, reading his poetry under the soft glow of lanterns. One line stuck with them. In the silence of the night, we find our strength. It became a rallying cry, a reminder of Andrew's light. Picture a small gathering in a park, friends sharing stories of his quiet kindness, vowing to keep his spirit alive. Across the village, memorials took root. Annual vigils now draw crowds, with candles flickering for each victim. 2020 community space near Church Street was dedicated to the 8 men, a quiet garden where people leave flowers and notes. One note read, "You are not forgotten." These acts of remembrance are more than gestures. They're a promise to honor lives cut short. Legacy. Bruce McArthur case isn't just a chapter in Toronto's history. It's a landmark in Canadian true crime. Compared to cases like Robert Pickton, who targeted Vancouver's marginalized women, both expose how society often overlooks the vulnerable, whether it's sex workers in British Columbia or immigrants in the gay village. But McArthur's case stands out for its portrayal of a tight-knit community, a place meant to be safe. This case taught us hard lessons. First, police accountability matters. The Epstein Review exposed biases that delayed justice. Stereotypes about the LGBTQ+ community, assumptions about racialized men. Those failures cost lives. Today, reforms like the Missing Persons Unit aim to prevent such oversights. But trust must be earned, not assumed. Second, show the power of community vigilance. The gay village didn't just grieve, it fought. Friends like Nicole Borthwick, who pushed for answers when Andrew Kinsman vanished, proved that communities can hold systems accountable. Their posters, their protests, their refusal to let go, they made the difference. Finally, this case underscores the need to protect the vulnerable. Many of McArthur's victims were immigrant or refugees, men living on the margins. Their stories remind us to build systems that see everyone, to hear every cry for help. Every unsolved file is a life waiting for answers. The McArthur case inspired a renewed push for cold case reviews in Ontario, with police revisiting old files with fresh eyes and new tech, like DNA analysis. It's a slow process, but it's a start. This case can spark change, and those 8 men didn't die in vain. The gardener's grim harvest is more than the story of a killer. It's a story of survival. The gay village, its families, its advocates, they've shown us what it means to rebuild from ashes. As an investigator, I'm humbled by their strength. I'm reminded why we do this work. To give voice to the silence, to seek justice for the lost. Let's honor Skanda, Abdulbasir, Majeed, Soroush, Kirushna, Dean, Selim, and Andrew by keeping their stories alive. Support organizations like the 519 Community Center, which aids the gay village. Share tips on unsolved cases. Your call could crack a case wide open. Together we can ensure no one is forgotten. Thanks for joining me on Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. If you've been moved by this series, leave a comment and share your thoughts. Subscribe to catch more stories of justice and remembrance. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, because every case deserves answers, and every victim deserves justice. Subscribe now to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. Episodes available wherever you get your podcasts.